Welcome to Productivity Mastery, and congratulations in taking the first step in becoming the leader in your life. Are you ready to learn new skills and stay in control of your life? There are many benefits to learning how to manage your time, be organized, and stay productive, so let's get started. Make sure that your handouts are printed and ready to go. First, let's explore what a typical day looks like in everybody's life. You start your morning, have breakfast, get ready, and go to school or to work. You're busy in classes or at the office, and then it's time to go home. This is when you could do anything you'd like to do, but you run around with evening activities, you do homework or housework, you end up exhausted in front of your computer or watch TV, and eventually you drag yourself to bed. And the next day, you do it all over again, right? Every week starts and ends the same way. How many Mondays have you wished that you've done more fun things or spent more time with friends over the weekend? If this is how your day goes and how your weeks go, let's look at a typical year. You start the year thinking, this is where I want to go, and you may get a few things done, but there'll be a lot of things that just end up forgotten. And if your typical day looks like this, then your typical year would look like this. You're going to learn a system that will support you to go from here to getting what you want on a regular basis. What needs to happen so that you meet your goals? You need to be in control. Control begins by having a plan. I'm going to show you exactly how this plan should be created. But first, let me ask you this. Let's start with the old familiar list of things to do. Are there items on your list that never get done? Do you have great plans that never get your attention? Does your energy drain every time you look at them? A lot of those do's represent missed opportunities or forgotten dreams. Do you agree? So would you say that this system is working for you? You are getting through the day and covering the basics. But is that what you really want to do, to get by every day covering the basics? Or does balance sound more exciting to you? What if I told you that you could do a little bit of everything you want to do and constantly make progress towards your goal? Would you be willing to give it a try? Let's look at why the current system doesn't work. There are 4 reasons. Number 1, we're busy. So what are we so busy doing? Getting through our day, right? It's hard. We spend our day putting out fires, doing everything that is urgent. Urgent to whom? Urgent to other people. Number 2, interruptions. Do you get interrupted all day? Your friends text you, junk email is always coming in, someone you haven't seen in a while wants to chat on Skype, another person posted a really cool photo on Facebook, and you have to be part of the conversation. 3 hours later, you are tired and ready to figure out where you were before the interruptions started. Let's map out the interruptions. Let's say that you calculate that your next task is going to take you 5 hours. If at 8 o'clock in the morning, you focus your full attention to complete the task, by lunchtime you should be done. But then the interruptions begin. You start your project or homework or housework, and you get interrupted. You go back to your task, figure out where you left off, and you keep going. Then you get interrupted again. You go back to your task, figure out where you left off, and you keep going. And then you get interrupted yet again. Now it is well past lunchtime and your afternoon tasks are not getting done. And the project that you started 3 days ago is still not done. When you add it up, your task will take 11 hours instead of 5. We get interrupted so many times that instead of getting one good juicy thing done and out of the way, we are dragging it on and on and on because we let all the emails and the texts and the friends and the Facebooks get in the way, right? So who is in control? Let's look at the cost to all these interruptions. The first price you pay is that, of course, everything takes forever. Secondly, multitasking lowers your IQ. Did you know that the more you multitask, the lower your performance IQ gets? You would work better and be more efficient if you didn't allow interruptions. The third price you pay is that the focus is not on you, but on everyone else. Respond to my email, respond to my text, respond to my whatever it is that everybody else wants you to do. My number 3 reason why lists of things to do don't work on their own is because of what I call the minefield schedule. Watch what happens in your week. Oh, what do we have to do tomorrow? Oh look, there's a deadline tomorrow. My project is due. I have an exam. Oh no, I didn't study. There's a party tonight, but I didn't buy a present. The laundry's not done. What am I going to wear? In our minds, we can fit everything, all of our to-dos and more. You plan to take a break after work and perhaps even start writing that book that you've been thinking about. So how's that going? This is how I used to run my business. I used to have a studio with 5 employees, and our schedule was full of deadlines. Sometimes we would start the day with a project that was due the next day. The interruptions were non-stop and we'd get to the end of the day with nothing done for the client. The only time left to meet the deadline was to work through the night. I don't have to tell you how unhealthy that is. We made it hard to deliver on time. We pulled it off every time, but we also found a better way. Most schedules are like ours used to be. We survive the day and all that we prepare for is tomorrow. Who's tired now? What is our focus at the end of the day? Our focus is on what we didn't accomplish. Another failed day. Is that an empowering way to get through your life? Let me ask you this. Who runs the show? You. It's your show. What I would like you to remember is this. We can't control everything in life, but we can definitely control our schedule and where our time goes. It's only a matter of making the time to take control. And I can assure you that you only have to do this once. As soon as you take control, everything else you wanted to do will follow. To be in control, you'll need to learn awareness, perspective, behaviors, and productivity. Let's begin with an exercise that will bring awareness into your life. Please grab a page that is called the Everything List. If you follow the instructions, you would have taped 2 sheets together so that it looks like this. This page has columns with sample categories. We have home, school, work, money matters like bills to pay, entertainment like books to read from the stack, next to the bed or the files in your Kindle, YouTube videos to watch, shows that you recorded from TV, updating your blog or your Facebook page. The next category is people to see. Then health and fitness and travel. You're welcome to write down your own categories, but altogether don't worry too much about the category because we want to be able to write fast as the ideas start to flow. What we're going to do is a flush, a brain flush, if you will, of everything you have to do and everything you want to do. You're going to write down everything that is on your list of things to do, big and small, work or school, all the little things that bug you, that could get done, by the way, but you just pass them by every day, like the crumbs in the toaster, the closet overflowing, the broken tools in the garage. Write your dreams, trips you want to take, the career you want to study, the training you want to do, projects, events, activities, marketing plans, friends you want to see. Some will be long-term goals and some items will be due tomorrow. If you run out of space, flip the page and keep writing. Just know this. Every item that is on your mind is draining your energy. So it's important that you put everything down on paper. This video will come to an end so that you can write everything that comes to mind. As soon as you're done, start playing video number 2 so that we can continue. So start writing. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Welcome back! Now that you've completed the everything list, take a moment to look at what you've written and ask yourself, how do you feel about this? I like asking this question when I'm training in person because I can always see clarity in everyone's eyes. Some people will say, it's crazy how much there is, or it's good to put it on paper so that I can check it off, or it's surprisingly unbalanced. Even one guy said it's a bit daunting to look at it, but now that it's out, I feel less stressed and relieved. I have taught this course to students and business owners, and it is surprisingly common to hear there are so many things to think about. Let me ask you this. How would you feel if you completed some of the items on your list? Would you feel energized if you woke up every morning knowing how close you are to your goals? I hope that you feel less stressed and ready to move forward. The next step is to choose the top 3 items of each category. Write 1, 2, and 3 next to your top choices. Try to number the items in the order that is most important to you. Pause this video and do that now. Now that you've numbered them, have a look at your priorities and see if you discover a pattern. Are these your priorities or other people's priorities? Are these things you want or things that you have to do? Would it be good if you were more in control of what's going on and getting results? This may surprise you, but did you know that the way you prioritize in your life is related to the behaviors typical of your personality? The next exercise will help you discover your personality type. Please find the sheet titled Behavioral Characteristics and Communication Style Inventory. When you finish answering the questions, go to the answer sheet and total the columns so that you know which one represents you best. It is important to know that we all have a little bit of every behavior and every communication style. But we're looking for one tendency that is stronger than the others. Also, keep in mind that as we go through life, our tendencies may shift a little and the outcome may be harder to fit into one definition. But even then, only one personality is leading your decisions, your behaviors, and your communication style. So it is important to know which one that is. When you decide which one resonates with you the most, find your personality in the handout and read the details under behavioral characteristics. This will help you confirm your findings. If you're still not sure, read the rest of the sheet and find the closest match to whom you are. This video will come to an end so that you can do this exercise. As soon as you're done, start playing video number 3 so that we can continue. So answer the questions and we'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back. Now that you've completed the personality test, let's review what these personalities are about so that I can tell you what are the strengths and challenges of each. This will help you define who you are a little bit more. If you already know your personality type, I would suggest that you think of a loved one or a coworker whom you'd like to be able to communicate better with, and try to identify who they are. I will also review what personalities work best together and how opposite personalities can relate. The one thing that I will point out about personalities is that we all love who we are. We thrive on our strengths. And when we're aware of our challenges, we can learn to compensate. And here's the part that I love. Our challenges will get us in trouble, but only if we don't know what they are. But now you know, so you're good. Isn't that great? This is very important. Keep notes about your challenges. You are going to want to be aware of what they are in the scheduling section of this training. Let's review the answers. Promoter, controller, supporter, or analyzer. If you are a promoter, you are high energy, enjoyable to be around, creative, initiates relationships, you're motivating, you have a competitive spirit, and you're goal-oriented. If you are a promoter, you're probably accused of being too distant and living in the moment. You tend to schedule a lot of social activities because that's where you are happiest. What would be your challenge? Most likely commitment. Why? Because you want to be everywhere doing everything, so commitment gets in the way of your style. Here is my challenge to you. Commit to only one thing, your schedule. And this will make a huge difference to your goals and in your relationships. Because when you commit to your schedule, you will also commit to the people in your life. Next, if you're a controller, you're a task accomplisher, you like bottom line results, you're self-motivated, forward-looking, a fast decision maker, you initiate activities, are disciplined, and like to control others. If you're a controller, you're probably accused of being too spontaneous and taking radical, crazy, quick decisions and making lots of mistakes really quickly, but you don't really care. What would be your challenge? Most likely you are impulsive, too fast for some people, even for yourself. You will tend to try to do too many things at once and get in your own way to accomplish a task. Here is my challenge to you. Slow down a bit, especially when you're making decisions and communicating your ideas. Before you make a new commitment, look at your schedule so that you make sure that you can deliver and you will be very effective. Moving on. If you're a supporter, you're dedicated and committed, a loyal team member, good listener, patient, good at reconciling factions, cause-oriented, dependable. If you're a supporter, you're probably accused of not being very expressive about your needs. You tend to schedule time to connect with people and be of service. What would be your challenge? Most likely you're a good listener and you need to work hard at speaking up and letting others take care of you. Here's my challenge to you. Keep an eye on what is important to you and always make sure that you take care of yourself first before you take care of others. When you choose your priorities, look for balance between you and them so that you can be a rock star to others and to yourself. Last style. If you're an analyzer, you are objective, conscientious, you like to define and clarify, you're concerned with accuracy, you like to test data, and you maintain standards. If you're an analyzer, you're probably accused of being indecisive. You tend to schedule time for solitude to process information, and as you attempt to make decisions, your mind will question if you have evaluated enough options. What would be your challenge? Most likely you are very thorough and you feel uncomfortable making fast decisions. Here's my challenge to you. Keep the big picture in mind and set time limits to accomplish your tasks. This should help you avoid analysis paralysis and cut back on overthinking time. Just know that speed and discomfort will always show up at the same time for you. And the more okay you are with the discomfort, the more you will move forward. Here is the next great part about learning your style. Because of human nature, some styles naturally get along better with each other. The styles that are connected by arrows tend to share common traits, so they have a natural attraction for each other. They also tend to compensate for each other in areas where one is stronger than the other. The second diagram shows the styles that don't get along as well. The arrows show where the natural conflicts are between styles. This concludes the personality section. We're now going to move to the next chapter. We're going to add a layer of thought to your decision-making process by establishing where you are now and helping you see yourself in the big picture. We are going to put it all in perspective. Ready? I want you to find a sheet that looks like this. It has numbers from 1 to 100. Please circle your age. We're going to assume that you're going to live to 100 years old, and beyond is up to you. Let's say that you're a teenager and you're 16, so you'll be about here. What is really interesting about this stage is that this is when you have to make decisions that are going to impact your next 80 years. The bummer is that you were a kid not long ago and you didn't have any responsibilities. You were not required to make any big decisions, and overnight, you call the shots in your life. You may be planning to go to university or college or study a trade or get a job, and this is not to say that you will not change careers for the rest of your life or that you will be stuck forever with one thing. But it is the beginning of the rest of your life, so you don't want to take that lightly. Let's just take a wild guess. On average, this is what could happen. Let's just say that you will finish post-secondary education here and get a job. Then you get to this area here. 30 to 40, you may have kids, possibly. And guess what? They are going to ask you for the same things that you are asking your parents for right now. Do you see? Decision here, future here. Think of life as a game. Like it or not, you're in the game and it doesn't stop. It is a good game. It is your game. The game is going to play whether you choose to participate or not. And here's the coolest part. It is up to you to play a winning game. I'll share a story with you. When my niece was 16, she decided that she had to have a BlackBerry or she could not live another day. This is a great decision if you're the phone company, but it's not great if you're a teenager with a part-time job making only a few dollars per month. I showed her the perspective exercise, and by the time we finished allocating time for university, career, job, and everything else that she wanted to do, the phone was not so important. Having a look at where she was and where she needed to be gave her perspective. Suddenly, her priorities had shifted. She urgently needed a high GPA to get into a particular university. The right phone, the high school parties, and the coolest clothes are not a requirement to get into university. I always say this to high school students. Even if you don't know what career you want to study and you're not sure what you want to become, your immediate goal is still to get a high GPA so that when you decide what you want to do, you already have what you need. The first time I was introduced to this exercise, I didn't have kids. I wasn't even married, but I felt an urgency to have a kid. I was in my early 30s, and my life was consumed by this urgency. The clock was ticking. My focus was on the things that I didn't have. After realizing that I had a lot of time to make my dreams come true, I was able to relax and shift my focus to the many things that were happening in my life. There were so many other things that I wanted to do that I did not need to have a kid the next day. I started working out, meeting new people. This is when I met my husband. In fact, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary with our 7-year-old son. Another example is a friend of mine who had many ideas for his business, and I knew he was getting impatient. This exercise made him realize that it was okay to take a couple of years to realize each new step. And he would still have the next 50 years of his life to test all of his ideas and complete a variety of projects on his list. Let's do a quick review. You have the everything list with all the things that you want to do, and you have the rest of your life. I hope that by now you can start to see how you could be in control of your outcomes and be the leader in your life. The next step is the scheduling system, which in combination with the first 3 chapters will give you the power to achieve your goals. Next, we'll do the gap analysis and review the goal setting tool. There are similarities with these tools because they both refer to the steps needed to attain a goal. I use the gap analysis for short-term activities, projects, or classes in which I'm already enrolled. I like to think of it as the work in progress items. And I use the goal setting tool for long-term activities that I haven't started yet. So don't panic, it will make sense in a minute. We'll work on this together. First, we're going to assess your current situation. So we'll need the gap analysis tool. Let's say that you're in high school or university. On the left column, you will write down all your subjects and your main projects. Math, bio, physics, chem, English, essays to write. On the next column, you will write your current marks on that subject or your current progress on your projects. These 2 columns represent your current situation. It is like a snapshot of what's happening today. Now go to the far right column and write the ideal situation. What is the mark that you would like to have? Be idealistic. Let's say that you would like to be at 100%. In the middle column, you will describe the gap. For example, you have a 70% on physics and the goal is 100, so the gap is 30. This 30% represents what you missed in the exam that you still need to learn so that you're ready for your final exam. Let's say that what you missed in the exam were questions related to velocity. There are 3 chapters about velocity in your textbook, and there are exercises at the end of each chapter. If you were to review the chapters and do the exercises, it would take you 2 hours, let's say, to complete. This means that it will take you 6 hours to catch up with physics. Here's a second example. Let's say that you started a work or a school project or essay. You have done the research and your goal is to complete it by a certain date. Your current situation is that you are at 10% of the project, so the gap is 90%. You have to write an outline, write an introduction, develop your theme, find photos, and write a conclusion. You will estimate that the time it will take you to complete each step, and you'll discover that you'll need 9 hours to complete your project. Finish working on the gap analysis for your short-term and ongoing projects and activities. This video will come to an end so that you can do this exercise. As soon as you're done, start playing video number 4 so that we can continue. So find the gap, and I'll see you in a few minutes. This may be new to you, or maybe you have heard this before. Regardless, take the opportunity to set some exciting goals for yourself. I'll ask you this: what are the 5 elements of an attainable goal? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. This is what we call SMART goals. The best way to set goals is to find the small steps that you need to take to achieve them. Let's review 3 examples before you work on your own SMART goals so that you can see how this works. Let's say that in your everything list you wrote, I want to get into university. If you were going to be specific, change it to reflect a specific outcome, like I want to become a lawyer. This is your big goal. You know that you'll need to take certain courses in high school and you'll need to get certain grades to be admitted into university. Although being a lawyer may be years away, getting a GPA of 3.8 is only as far as the next grade. Measurable. In this case, your measurements will be based on grades in high school, university application submissions, acceptance to the right universities, and having the right percentile when you graduate. Attainable. Is your goal within reach? Let's explore how we can make the goal of becoming a lawyer attainable. Lawyers argue cases and do lots of research. You could join a debate club in order to test your ability to be persuasive. You could join a public speaking club to improve your ability to present, right? Next, we have relevant. The relevant goals to become a lawyer will include completing the mandatory courses, meeting minimum GPA requirements, volunteering in a law firm, for example. How about buying an expensive briefcase? That will be relevant when you graduate, but it won't help you become a lawyer. Last is time sensitive. Your long-term strategy may be to become a partner in a large corporate law firm in New York. This step is about identifying what you must accomplish by the end of this month, by the end of the next term, by the end of the school year, so you will get the job in the right kind of law firm. So if I was to recap, the goal statement will read, I want to become a lawyer in 6 years because I love helping people get what they need. To support my long-term goal, I will volunteer at a law firm, join a couple of skill development clubs, and make sure that my GPA is 3.8 as required by my university of choice. And we've already outlined the steps to take you there. Let's talk about setting up a professional goal. Business-related goals tend to be more complex, and we use a strategic planning tool that will allow you to have a multifaceted approach to achieving your goals. This is what the strategic planning tool looks like. Let's say that your goal is to open a restaurant. What is your mission? To be an affordable location for organic, locally sourced food. To bring your mission to life, what are 3 goals that you need to meet in the next 2 years? Financial goal. To build a business with a low overhead that will allow you to sell at a lower price point than your local family restaurant. Your service goal will be to provide diners with a unique and memorable food experience and top service that will keep them coming back while training young people in the industry. The efficiency goal is to reduce waste by creating a nose-to-tail menu. What strategies do you need to implement now to achieve the goal? For your financial goal, you will need to use local organic suppliers who provide ingredients at your price point or will negotiate price for service exchange. Where possible, use reconditioned or used equipment. For your service goal, you will need to build a relationship with a local school that can benefit from providing work experience to students. And identify a training approach that can be used with potentially high turnover for staff. For your efficiency goal, you will need to hire an experienced chef in nose-to-tail approach and to develop a seasonal menu to avoid produce waste. Now let's look at what tactics you need to meet these strategies. Research the local farms for best quality of product. Develop a service exchange sales package. Research the availability of used equipment. Research restaurant fixtures and liquidation companies. Contact the local schools and youth organizations to gauge interest. Build a proposal to attract students to the team. Research training models. Interview chefs for a nose-to-tail expert who will train the team. And identify the common seasonal products available. Now let's explore a personal goal. One that almost everyone faces at some point in their life. The giant cleanup. If the goal is to organize the garage, So maybe there's room for a car, for example. The SMART goal will look something like this. Specific. Organize the garage to be able to park the car in there and ensure that all the bits and pieces are sorted or cleared out. In the end, you'll want to know what is where in the garage. Measurable. Cleaning the garage will take a series of small steps that will end with you packing boxes and organizing the space to fit your car. You can measure progress by setting a date and then getting the steps done. This step will look like this. By the end of the weekend, you will have all the boxes and the containers you'll need. By next weekend, you'll have a definition of what can be thrown in the trash. By weekend number 3, you'll book a whole day to get it done. Attainable. The timeline to organize a one-car garage that is full of old furniture and books is very different from the timeline to do the same thing with a 3-car garage full of contents from your old apartment that you couldn't bear to part with, for example. So one project is attainable in a few weeks on your own, maybe, and the other might take months, or perhaps the way that you would make it attainable would be by enlisting the help of friends and family. Relevant. Living in a cleaner space is always relevant to a healthy lifestyle. Time sensitive. If it is getting close to winter, you want to avoid waking up early to clean your windshield. My favorite time-sensitive goal is to have a party. Just think how motivated you are to clean your space before a party. Have you ever had one of those moments when you realize it takes less than an hour to get the job done? But why didn't you get it done before? You've made it so monumental in your head that you have no motivation at all. Please have a look at your everything list and choose one item so that you can practice. This video will come to an end so that you can do this exercise. As soon as you're done, start playing video number 5 so that we can continue. Write 3 SMART goals, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Now it's time to work on your schedule. I will show you how to assemble your weekly schedule, which I call the Get It Done schedule. The schedule is divided into 2 sections. Your workday will be divided into 2 morning blocks before lunch and 3 after lunch. After work, there are 3 blocks of time where you do chores, hang out with family and friends, or relax and work on your goals. Why do we use blocks? When you work uninterrupted, this is the most effective way to use your time. The first thing that we're going to do is fill in the weekly schedule with all the activities and commitments that already exist in your week. Let's review this day by day. What do you have to do on Monday? You go to work from 9 to 5. After work, you drive your kids around, take classes, do groceries. You cook dinner and have dinner by 7. You'll like to go to bed at 10 to get a good night's sleep. This means that on Mondays, you have 2.5 hours to work on personal goals. Let's mark the whole week from 9 to 5. Add all the meetings and projects and deadlines that are due at work. Figure out how many hours you have each day to work on individual projects or work on business goals. Pause this video to work out your available time for each day until you complete the week. Now that you have the available time for each day, I want you to find the gap analysis and place it to the left of your schedule. You will transfer the list of things to do and projects with the estimated completion times to the left column on the weekly schedule. Number the list in priority order. Some of your projects may be due this week, some meetings that you have to prepare for may be scheduled for next week, and some marketing activities may be scheduled for the next quarter. Now watch. You're going to take the hours that you estimated per item and place them in your weekly schedule. Let's say that your priorities this week are to prepare for a presentation for Thursday and deliver a report on Friday. You've estimated 2 hours to review the file and 2 hours to interview managers before your meeting. To do well at your interview, you'll need to spend 4 hours preparing. Then you estimated that the report will take you 6 hours in total. You'll spend 2 hours on research, 2 hours to write an outline, and 2 hours to gather images and create a layout. You will also need to go to the store to get a binder. Strategically, you'll want to get the binder first so that you're prepared to work on this project, even if it's Thursday night. Let's say that instead of going home after work, you will go to the store. Given your busy work schedule, let's book an hour to work on your presentation on Monday and 3 hours on Tuesday so that you're ready for Thursday. On Wednesday and Thursday, you can fit 3 hours each day to complete your report, and you'll be ready for your Friday deadline. That's easy, right? Now let me tell you what else will happen. Your friends are going to call you and ask you if you can meet them for lunch on Wednesday. When you look at your schedule, you will notice that if you take a long lunch on Wednesday, you won't have time to meet your Friday deadline. How is this different from when you estimate the time in your head? If your friends ask you to meet for lunch on Wednesday, you will quickly assume that you can finish your project on Thursday and just go for lunch, right? But when you take the time to estimate how much time it really takes to finish the project and how much time you really have, you can easily see the price you'll pay if you don't follow your schedule. Does that make sense? And if your friends are not the only distraction, there's email and phone calls and YouTube and Facebook. This schedule is where you're going to track when you started a project, when you finished it, and notice how those 3 hours on Facebook got in the way of your deadline. You want to know what else will happen? On Monday, your boss or your business partner is going to ask you to help with a proposal, and it's due next Monday. What's the first thing that you're going to do? Add it to the list of things to do on the left column. Then calculate the time that it will take you to do the assignment. If you're planning to have a busy weekend, you may discover that the best strategy is to book all day Friday. The more consistent you are at keeping your schedule up to date, the easier it will be to increase your overall performance. You will be able to monitor how long it really takes you to do a project, and you will also be able to manage your distractions and your social life. Keep things in perspective by referring to the perspective tool to decide how important it is to stay focused and keep moving forward with your goals. This is your life, right? It's your canvas, and you get to paint the canvas with any painting you want. Your relatives and your friends can't paint it for you. This is the best part. It's all you. The best way to make your schedule work for you is to review it every night so that you're prepared for the next morning. Now let's talk about when is the best time to create your weekly schedule. We recommend that you plan your week sometime on Sunday, maybe in the morning or end of the day, ideally at the same time every week. You will start with a schedule that you just created, and when you get to Sunday, you will debrief and create a new schedule. Before we go into the debrief, let's pull it all together by reviewing all the steps that led us to this point. Our first step was the everything list and setting priorities. Let's use open a restaurant from the strategic planning goals as an example. Now watch the process. In the strategic planning, we decided that one of the tactics was to meet coordinators at the local schools. Once we estimate the time that this will take to do, the task is transferred to the Get It Done schedule, where you'd find where to fit it into your week. By booking this time, you'd be sure to get it done. Some of your priorities will be short-term and won't need a gap analysis, like if you're planning to clean the garage. If you recall our example, watch the process. We started with the everything list, took it to the SMART goals. We realized that it would take 2 weeks, which included getting some supplies before getting started. Then the activities would get entered into the Get It Done schedule and you'd be done. Now, we'll learn the last part of the process, the debrief tool. Let's talk about why we debrief. The best way to reach goals is to debrief along the way, because we'll learn from what we've done in a week and we're able to work on the shoulders of our successes. Why is this important? Because you can only build success on top of success. Could you have the best day of your life if all you do is complain about your failures? No, of course not. Why? Because your focus will be on the failure and failure will follow failure. So always remember this. You can only build success on top of success. And by identifying your successes, you are able to focus on your wins. And when you focus on your wins, you will feel successful. You will feel it, you will taste it, you will become it. There are 8 elements in the debrief process. Brief overview of the facts. This is not an evaluation, just observations about what is true. For example, instead of "my exams were fantastic," to turn it into "I prepared for 2 exams, I got 80% and 90%. Key accomplishments. What have been the key accomplishments so far? The key here is to identify the little accomplishments, not just the big ones. Sometimes when you analyze the little wins, you will be able to realize that you have accomplished more than before, and you may even be halfway to your big goal. By breaking down the accomplishments to smaller wins, we start noticing the other good things that were happening, providing a stronger foundation for what is to come. What worked or what is working? The accomplishments obviously worked, but what we want to know here is why they worked. For example, it may have been an accomplishment to deliver an assignment on time, or even better, to finish the assignment 3 days before the due date. Let's think about what worked. I was uninterrupted for 3 hours. I worked at the library. I rescheduled a few things. I asked for help. Whatever worked, do it again next week. What didn't work or isn't working? Take the time to notice what needs to be improved. For example, finishing the assignment the night before didn't work. Interruptions, taking phone calls, not being on time, not reviewing the assignment for typos. What can you do differently next week? What is missing? This is a section where you will gain access to action. For example, what is missing? More time to prepare assignments or to prepare for exams. Why don't I have enough time? Because I don't know how to say no when my friends ask me out. What needs to change? I will schedule my friends after I complete my assignments. Opportunities. What opportunities are present for you as you conduct this debrief? Now that you're caught up in the day today and meeting your deadlines, how about those bigger goals? Be sure to start scheduling the steps for other goals when you create these opportunities. Next steps. What are some specific actions that you want to take next week to make your week better or start working on new goals? Anything else to complete the picture? Sometimes useful observations arise through this process that don't have a natural place in any of the categories. Here's a place to catch these, ensuring that they don't get lost. Please don't change the order of the debrief and don't skip the steps. Finish the accomplishments and what is working before proceeding to what isn't working. Sometimes people skip to what didn't work, and when you do that, you're not working on the shoulders of the good stuff. You will be more critical of your progress. Conduct your debriefs after exams or meetings at the end of each week, each month, each quarter. Debriefs are very useful to get you clear and help you plan your next steps. Plan to debrief all the situations that you want to learn from. Congratulations! We have reached the end of our training and I am very excited for you. As you're able to accomplish your goals, we'd love to hear your story. Please let us know the difference that this training has done in your life.